Hey friends, did you know that brownies were invented in Chicago, Illinois for the 1893 World's Fair? Well, I made the recipe and I'm going to show you how I did it. We're going to start with adding 2.5 sticks of butter to a double boiler and then some chocolate. And all these measurements are going to be in the description because you guys, this was all by weight. Nothing was by cups or teaspoons or tablespoons. So I had to weigh everything in order to make this recipe. So I'll have all of that in the description. But we had some dark chocolate, a little bit of milk chocolate, and butter to that double boiler. Now over here, we're going to start our dry ingredients. It's flour and sugar. And again, it was all by weight and a little bit of baking powder. But this only had about 1/3 of a cup of flour in it. I couldn't believe it. I had no idea how these were going to turn out, but I just trusted the recipe. Now, I've been making a popular state dessert every week for the entire year of 2024 just for fun, and this happens to be for Illinois. These are nothing like the brownies that we have come to know and love of today. Now, I have a couple little onlookers. They were helping. Now let's go back over to the counter and combine the dry ingredients into the chocolate mixture. This, again, like I said, was the very first brownie recipe. This was the invention of the brownies. Hardly any flour, so much butter. And unlike today's brownie mixes, which say to stir only about 50 times, this recipe had me stirring for 4 to 5 minutes. Once I stirred for 4 to 5 minutes, I added in 5 eggs. And this was still hot, so I was so afraid I was going to make some scrambled eggs, but it worked, and I just mixed that all together. It got to be light and fluffy and airy as I mixed it. And then I put this mixture in a pan that had some nonstick cooking spray, but it didn't work very good because these brownies really stuck to the pan. Now we're going to bake these in the oven at 350 degrees for 35 minutes. Now, it was Easter and my son was here and his dog was here, so it was a little bit of chaos in the background, but here they are after 35 minutes. They look a little weird, but we're still trusting the process. So now they get a glaze on top. They get 1 cup of water, a teaspoon of this unflavored gelatin, and a cup of these apricot preserves. This is the original recipe. I'll tell you, I stirred this on the stove and let it boil for about 2 minutes, but this was a lot of topping, a lot of glaze for these brownies, and I didn't end up using the whole thing. I'm not sure if I should have. I was just so afraid that it would just drown these brownies. But I did brush on about half or a little more of it. And I did add some nuts. Walnuts are very traditional to put on top of this, but I'm a little sensitive to them, so I only put it on one little section. And then brushed all that apricot glaze on, let it sit for a little while, and it did kind of congeal on top. And now I'm going to take one of these out and show you what they look like. I was expecting really gooey, fudgy brownies, but these weren't. They were more cake-like. I don't know if it's because it had so many eggs in it, but they were very, very cake-like. And they did have kind of a sweet and sour apricot taste to the top. Very interesting. So much fun to learn about the original first brownie from the Palmer House for the World's Fair. This was definitely fun and interesting. We all agreed that they tasted good, but I probably wouldn't make them again. A box mix is even better. Like and subscribe to see what state desserts are coming up next.